My name is Lila Voss, and I've spent most of my 28 years learning how to disappear in my own family. 2 weeks ago, in the cramped duplex we shared on the outskirts of Raleigh, North Carolina, my sister Nora unleashed a tirade that cut deeper than any knife. "You're a curse, Lila. You ruin everything." Her voice was a jagged blade, slicing through the humid air of our living room. Our parents, Ellen and Marcus, sat on the faded plaid couch, their knots heavier than any words. I stood frozen in the kitchen doorway, clutching a spiral notebook filled with my drafts for soft skills workshops, my heart pounding but my face still. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I turned, grabbed my worn messenger bag, and walked out into the sticky southern night, the screen door creaking shut behind me. The Raleigh suburbs were quiet, the kind of stillness that feels like it's holding its breath. But inside me, a storm raged. Nora, 3 years my senior, had always been the family's golden child, the one who could do no wrong. She just hit 30,000 subscribers on her YouTube channel, Nora's Mindful Path, where she preached about authentic leadership and inner peace to an audience that ate it up. That night, she was recording a live Q&A, perched under a ring light that bathed her in a halo of artificial glow. Mom and Dad sat nearby, their eyes sparkling with pride, as if her vlogs were a Nobel Prize. I'd been staying in their spare room for 4 months, ever since my part-time job at a local bookstore vanished when the owner retired. I was piecing together freelance teaching gigs, trying to rebuild, but in their eyes I was just there. A background prop in Nora's starring role. I'd lingered in the doorway, sipping chamomile tea from a chipped mug, the liquid long gone cold. My notebook was my lifeline, filled with frameworks I'd spent years refining, workshops on confidence, communication, resilience. I'd been tweaking them for a pitch to a local community center, hoping to teach teens who felt as invisible as I did. But Nora's voice dominated the room, her laugh polished and practiced. Then her laptop froze midstream, the screen glitching as her smile faltered. "Why does this always happen when you're around, Lila?" she snapped, her eyes locking onto me like I'd hexed her tech. "You drag us down. Your whole vibe is toxic." I blinked, stunned. Toxic? Me? The one who'd spent years fixing their messes, balancing Mom's checkbook when she overspent, soothing Dad's temper after work, even helping Nora with her channel's early scripts when she couldn't string a sentence together? I looked to Mom, expecting a flicker of defense. Instead, she stood, brushing imaginary lint from her skirt. "She's not wrong, Lila. You're always in the way of something good." Dad sighed, rubbing his temples, his silence a familiar betrayal. My throat burned, but I swallowed the heat. I walked to the spare room, its peeling wallpaper and musty carpet a stark reminder of my temporary place in their world. I moved like a ghost, packing my messenger bag with essentials, a few shirts, a pair of jeans, my notebook, a dog-eared copy of The Alchemist I'd read a dozen times, and a single photo of me and Grandma Ruth, taken when I was 12 at a county fair. Her arm was around me, her smile wide and real, the Ferris wheel blurred in the background. No family heirlooms, no sentimental trinkets, those had all gone to Nora, the worthy daughter. I didn't touch the guest bed's faded quilt or the half-dead plant on the windowsill. 15 minutes later, I was out the door. No one followed. No one called after me. The street was still, the cicadas hum louder than my footsteps. I walked 3 blocks to a 24-hour diner, its neon sign flickering like a dying star. The waitress, Bev, had tired eyes and a name tag pinned crookedly to her apron. I ordered a coffee and a stale donut for $6, my hand steady despite the tremor in my chest. "Bus still running?" I asked. "Last one's in 10 minutes if the driver's not late," she muttered, wiping the counter. I paid, sat by the window, and watched the headlights streak past. The bus arrived 12 minutes late, its brakes squealing. I climbed on, my bag between my knees like a life raft, and let the city carry me away. Downtown Raleigh unfolded in smears of light, bars, gas stations, office buildings, all blurring into a watercolor of indifference. No one made eye contact. It was a strange comfort, like the world was giving me permission to vanish. At the end of the line, I found a motel off I-40, its neon sign spelling Vac NCY in flickering pink. The clerk, a man with a graying beard and a reality show blaring on a small TV, slid me a key for $38. "Cash or card?" he mumbled, eyes glued to the screen. I handed over my last crumpled bills. The room smelled of mildew and cheap pine cleaner, the bed sagging under a quilt that looked older than me. I dropped my bag and sat, staring at a ceiling crack that twisted like a fractured moon. My phone stayed silent. No texts, no voicemails, just one notification, like a ghost tapping my shoulder. Undelivered package from Lila, sent 18 months ago. A hand-knitted scarf I'd made for Mom's birthday, wrapped in tissue paper with a note about missing our old coffee dates at the corner bakery. Unopened, forgotten, like every piece of me I tried to give them. Morning came, gray and oppressive, the sky pressing down like a warning. I counted my funds, $210 and some change, a dwindling lifeline. No job, no home, but a stubborn spark flickered in my chest, faint but undeniable. I walked to a coffee shop near the bus depot, its chalkboard sign promising free Wi-Fi and endless refills. The air inside smelled of burnt espresso and floor polish. I ordered the cheapest latte, $2.10, and claimed a corner table by an outlet, my laptop, an old Dell that took 3 minutes to boot, whirring to life. My freelance profile on a teaching platform was still there, dormant but not dead. I updated it. Lila Voss, specializing in soft skills, confidence building, and career prep. Patient, dedicated, believes in growth even when no one sees it. I applied to 12 gigs, parents seeking help for anxious teens, professionals prepping for interviews, community centers needing workshop leaders. Each application felt like a brick laid in a new foundation, small but solid. A memory surfaced, unbidden. Grandma Ruth at her last Thanksgiving, her hands gnarled but warm around mine. "You're the one who listens, Lila. That's your gift." She'd been a high school counselor for 30 years, her office a sanctuary for kids who felt unseen, like me. She'd left me her teaching notes, spiral notebooks filled with handwritten frameworks for building resilience, communication, self-worth. After her funeral, Mom had tossed them in a box in the attic, calling them old junk. I'd scanned them 5 years ago, more out of habit than hope, and uploaded them to a cloud folder I hadn't touched since. The memory stung, but I pushed it down and kept working, submitting applications until my eyes burned and my coffee was cold. By the end of the week, I had 2 clients. Mateo, a shy high school junior prepping for college interviews, and Carla, a single mom aiming for a promotion at her call center job. Mateo's nervous smile when he nailed a mock interview, Carla's quiet. "You made this make sense." After our first session, they were oxygen, filling a part of me I'd forgotten could breathe. I used the public library's laptops, booking 2-hour slots daily, the hum of the fluorescent lights a steady rhythm. I tracked every dollar on a diner napkin, $45 from Mateo, $60 from Carla. Enough for another motel week, then a deposit on a shared room in a house near downtown, a small victory carved from nothing. I wasn't angry anymore, just awake. They hadn't seen me, but I was building anyway. Then I saw Nora's Instagram post. "Family is who lifts you up." Grateful for mine. The photo showed her, Mom, Dad, and their new labradoodle, Posy, in front of a glossy family portrait. I wasn't in it. The old one, taken when I was 15, all of us awkward but together, was gone, replaced by this polished version where I'd been erased. I scrolled through Nora's feed, my chest tightening. Every family photo either cropped me out or excluded me entirely. Sunday brunches, holiday toasts, a throwback to a beach trip where I'd been the one holding the camera. I was a ghost in their curated life, my edges sanded away. Digging through my email spam folder, I found something worse. An email Nora had CC'd me on by mistake, sent to a podcast producer pitching The Mindful Family, a series about resilience and unity. At the bottom, her words, "Lila's too unstable to be involved. She'd ruin our brand." My breath caught. I clicked the attachment, a pitch deck for Nora's signature resilience workshops. The layouts, the phrasing, the diagnostic tools, they were mine, lifted word for word from my notebook, rebranded with her pastel logo and smiling headshots. She'd stolen my work, my voice, and passed it off as her own, building her empire on my bones. I didn't cry. I printed the email at the library, taped it to the motel wall next to Grandma Ruth's note, which I'd kept in my bag since her funeral. "You'll build what they can't see." The words stared back at me, a quiet command. That week, a virtual teaching gig came through, $80 per session with a career prep group in Charlotte. I moved into the shared house, a small room with a creaky twin bed, a thrift store desk, and a window overlooking a bus stop. No neon signs, just the hum of a new start. I recorded my income on the back of a library receipt, calculating how long I could stay, how much I could grow. For the first time, I felt a quiet pride, not loud enough to need an audience, but steady enough to carry me. But the past wasn't done with me. A week later, my old friend Tasha showed up at the motel, her face drawn, clutching a manila envelope. "Lila, I found this at your mom's," she said, voice low. I was dropping off a casserole after Dad's surgery, and it was in a drawer under junk mail. The envelope had my handwriting. addressed to Mom for her 50th birthday 2 years ago. Inside was a card, a gift card to her favorite bakery, and a letter. Mom, I miss our coffee dates. I miss you. Let's try again. Love, Lila. Unopened, untouched, like it was nothing. Tasha sat across from me, her eyes soft. There's more, she said, sliding a USB drive across the table. I helped Nora with her channel early on. These are your original workshop files, Lila. She took them from your old laptop. I plugged the drive into my laptop, my hands steady but my heart racing. There they were, my drafts, my diagrams, even my color-coded notes, dated 3 years before Nora's brand launched. I laughed, a short, breathless sound that died in my throat. Even the fonts, I muttered. She took my fonts. Tasha hugged me before leaving, her tears warm against my shoulder. I sat alone, the room's silence pressing in, the mini fridge humming like a heartbeat. Then last night my phone erupted. 12 missed calls, Dad, Mom, Nora. Voicemails piled up. Dad's voice was gruff, weary. Lila, Nora's in trouble. Her channel's tanking. People are calling her a fraud. We need you to help fix this. Mom's was softer, almost pleading. Please, Lila. We're family. Don't let this tear us apart. Nora's was jagged, panicked. You're always so bitter, Lila. We gave you everything, and this is how you repay us. I sat on my new bed, the springs creaking, and let the words wash over me. They didn't hurt anymore. They just clarified. What changed? Nora's empire cracked. A former intern fired without a second thought. Leaked screenshots, chat logs, Canva templates, early drafts, all tracing back to me, dated years before Nora's brand existed. The internet turned fast. Comments flooded her posts. This looks stolen. Why's Lila not credited? A Reddit thread. Influencer caught plagiarizing sister's work. Gained traction, with side-by-side comparisons of my notebook scans and her workshops. A local blogger stitched the evidence into a TikTok, calling it a masterclass in theft. Their perfect image was unraveling, and they needed me to stitch it back together. Not because they loved me, but because I'd always been the one to clean up their messes. I didn't answer. Instead, I opened a cloud folder I'd forgotten. Grandma Ruth Archives. Inside was a scan I'd made 5 years ago. A single page from her will, notarized and clear. All my teaching materials, curricula, and frameworks belong to Lila Voss, my sole heir. Legal, binding, and buried by Mom in a drawer with unpaid bills. I printed it, pinned it next to the email, Tasha's USB drive, and Grandma's note. For artifacts, one story. I'd been erased, but I wasn't invisible. This morning I met Karen, a no-nonsense IP lawyer in a downtown office that smelled of coffee and ink. I brought the will, my notebook, the USB drive, and screenshots of Nora's theft. You don't need a lawsuit, Karen said, tapping the will. You need a public claim, file it, and they can't touch you. I nodded, calm but certain. By noon, I'd filed the paperwork, my ownership of the materials now documented and indisputable. Nora's team retaliated with a cease and desist, claiming my work infringed their copyright. The audacity was almost funny. I countered with timestamps, drafts, and the will, emailing the hosting platform and my clients with a clear statement. These are my materials, my rights, my truth. By evening, the tide shifted. Nora posted a vague apology on her channel. Mistakes were made, but I'm all about growth. The comments weren't kind. You stole from your sister. Own it. Mateo, my student, texted. Miss Lila, you're the real deal. Don't let them win. Carla emailed. You changed my life, Lila. Keep teaching. I printed their messages, taped them to my wall. A 5th and 6th paper born of effort, not blood. A local news outlet picked up the story, framing it as a tale of family betrayal and intellectual theft. I didn't seek the spotlight, but it found me. Then came the knock, 3 sharp raps. I peered through the peephole, Mom, Dad, Nora. Mom's lipstick was smudged, her hands trembling. Dad stood stiff, eyes on the floor. Nora's eyeliner streaked, her usual polish crumbling. We messed up, Mom said, voice low. We know, Lila, but family forgives. Nora looked at me, not sorry, just scared, like a child caught but unwilling to own it. I didn't let them in. Family doesn't erase you, I said, my voice soft but steel. Family doesn't steal your work, your name, your place. I'm done fixing your messes. I closed the door, locked it, and felt the air shift. Not peace, not yet, but freedom. An hour later, an email. My site was back online, the cease and desist dismissed. Clients flooded my inbox with support. A community center offered me a contract to teach my workshops in person, $100 per session. I sat at my desk, a wobbly thrift store find, and opened my notebook. I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was building an empire, quiet but unshakable. The next day, a package arrived, delivered without a note. Inside was an envelope, unopened, addressed to Mom in my handwriting. A birthday card from 2 years ago, with a gift card to her favorite bakery and a letter. Mom, I miss our coffee dates. I miss you. Let's try again. Love, Lila. She'd never opened it, just like the scarf, just like the poetry book I'd sent Dad 3 years before, also returned unopened. I didn't cry. I tucked it away, a reminder of what I'd walked away from. Over the next week, I leaned into my work. Mateo aced his college interview, his mom sending me a thank you note with a photo of him in a suit, grinning. Carla got her promotion, inviting me to coffee to celebrate. I started mentoring a new student, Aisha, a 16-year-old who reminded me of myself, quiet, overlooked, but burning with potential. You make me feel like I can do this, she said after our first session. I smiled, thinking of Grandma Ruth, whose office had been my refuge when I was Aisha's age. I launched a small scholarship in Grandma's name, funding workshops for teens like Aisha, kids who feel unseen but have dreams too big to be silenced. The first application came from a boy named Jamal who wrote, I want to be a counselor like my dad, but no one thinks I'm smart enough. I called him personally, set up a session, and watched his eyes light up when I said, you're already enough. Thank you notes trickled in, one from a girl I tutored at the library. You told me I was enough. I believed you. I framed it, hung it beside my papers. A 7th paper, a testament to what I was building. Nora's channel went quiet, her sponsors pulling out as the plagiarism story spread. Mom sold the duplex, rumors swirling about legal debts or maybe just shame. I didn't chase the gossip. I didn't need their apologies or their regret. I mailed a copy of Grandma's note to Aisha, folded into an envelope with no return address. You'll build what they can't see. Maybe it'll catch her on a night when she feels erased, like it caught me. My desk is still modest, my window still faces a bus stop, but this life, this is mine. I teach, I mentor, I build. The community center's workshops are booked through spring, and I'm drafting a book based on my frameworks, titled Unseen but Unstoppable. They thought they buried me. They didn't know I was a seed.